last night. Just enough for Jordan Zimmerman and the bullpen to close out a 2-1 win. Today, Steven Strasburg makes his 2015 debut, and Matt Harvey starts for the first time since 13. It's a power matchup on Getaway Day at Nationals Park. This is a pitching matchup that was talked about several weeks ago in spring training when we heard it was going to happen. Strasburg against Harvey on a Thursday afternoon in Washington, D.C. It's chilly. It figures to be a very unpleasant day for hitters for several different reasons. Great arms, high heat, and we'll see how that all goes. Bob and FP. Nats got a big win last night behind Jordan Zimmerman, so kind of an important little rubber game to start the season here. The Mets want to let the Nats know that they can play with Washington.
Yeah, they want to take 2 out of 3. So when Terry Collins was asked today before the game about Matt Harvey's start, he said, hey, we just want to get out of here with 2 wins, and the same goes for Matt Williams' Nationals.
They're both 26 years of age. Steven Strasburg first, going through his warm-ups. Major league record of 43-30, the strikeout stuff, and a career ERA of just over 3 runs a game.
I mean, the pitching matchup of the day in baseball, just an early season treat. When you talk about Steven Strasburg's last season, 242 Ks, tied for first in the National League. That's the most since a DC pitcher since Walter Johnson struck out 243 in 1913. So there's going to be a lot of missed bats today. And don't forget about number 37, all the talk about the Dark Knight returning, Matt Harvey today. And everyone's saying he has to keep his emotions in check. I say forget that. And he's going to be fired up. So we're going to see some 98s, 99s, might even see some triple digits in the first inning from Matt Harvey. We can't wait to see him pitch. It's good for baseball when he's back, unless you got a bat in your hand.
12-10 career record for Harvey, pitching for the first time in 2 years. Not a whole lot more to say about these two as we go to break. Watch the gas, watch the swings and misses. See if you could hit these guys. The Nats in the deciding game, 49 degrees. Fortunately, not much of a breeze, just a gentle one going from right field over to the left field corner. Cloudy skies, and when you're talking cars, you're talking Coons. Here's Dan with our Coons.com sideline report.
Thank you, Bob. Matt Harvey said yesterday that he doesn't know Stephen Strasburg too well, but as he was going through his Tommy John rehab, he had some conversations with Strasburg as well as fellow National starter Jordan Zimmerman, trying to gain some information about how their Tommy John rehabs had gone. Harvey said that he got some good information from the two right-handers, and now he returns to the mound after waiting 593 days since his last big league start. Mets manager Terry Collins said today that Harvey will be on a soft pitch count of around 90, and that's something the Nats are well aware of going into this game. Matt Williams said this morning, we want to be patient with Harvey, we want to make him work, and we want to get that pitch count up early.
Yeah, Matt had some interesting thoughts on how he would approach him as a hitter facing a guy like this. Just hoping he gives you something good during an at-bat that you can work with, and you better not get to 2 strikes. The Mets hitting $167 early. They've outscored the Nationals in this series 4-3. David Wright, 7 Ks, 4 hits career against Stephen Strasburg in 15 at-bats. But that's the most hits by any Met in the lineup today. Daniel Murphy does have 3. They've gone with the same starting 8 all 3 games. So here's Strasburg, 7th career start against New York. He's 3-1 with a really good 2.19 ERA.
Yeah, 2-seam, 4-seam fastball. He'll sink it. Last year, it averaged 94.8 miles an hour. The curveball, 79 miles an hour. The changeup, only 88 miles an hour. So all the talk about Matt Harvey today, Stephen Strasburg takes them out. He's faced the Mets twice last year. He went 1-0 with a 2.77 ERA. He struck out 18 Mets and walked 4 in those 2 starts. So the pitching matchup of the day in Major League Baseball starts now. This is going to be fun. Set the defense for the Nats behind Stephen Strasburg. Robinson, Taylor, Harper, your outfield. Desmond, Escobar, left side. Ugla, Zimmerman, right side. And Jose Lobaton getting the start behind the plate.
Yeah, Jose was outstanding in a backup role for the Nats last year. Got the offense going in the second half of the season. Lobaton last year played in 66 games, had 214 at-bats. And the guys love throwing to him. There's Tim Timmons, 17-year veteran, the home plate umpire. Todd Tishner. Second base is Tim Welke, the crew chief. Mike Everett at third. Great veteran crew for this series. And there are a lot of umpires around baseball who would love to be working the plate on a day like this.
A lot of people around baseball love to be watching a game like this. I mean, I was in the Mets clubhouse before the game, and Terry Collins' press conference with the media had a playoff feel to it. Everything about Matt Harvey today, about 50 reporters squished into Terry Collins' office. And they're some kind of excited to have their ace back, and the Nats are excited to have Stephen Strasburg on the mound for the first time.
First pitch of the day. Right in there at 107, underway with the 3rd game of the year. Curtis Granderson in this series, a couple of walks, but he's 0 for 7. Escobar on the grass at 3rd. Fastball misses away. Corner outfielders pretty much straight away. A little shade toward left center for Michael A. Taylor. Lobaton sets up away again, and Granderson fouls it that way, 1-2. The Nationals' ERA to start the season, 0.50 in 2 games. The Mets at 1.59. Pitching has ruled this series, and pitching is ruling baseball right now. They have been 13 shutouts in baseball already since Monday, and actually that started Sunday night. Strasburg trying to buzz that outside corner, just missed.
Every time you see him stop his delivery at the very end, he's looking for the call. Watch him stop right there. He's looking for the strike, didn't get him. And the longer he holds the pose, the more he disagrees with the umpire.
Yeah, he jumped out of that one quickly. Goes with a breaking ball. That's slammed off of Jose Lobaton as Tim Timmons checks on him. Checking the gear.
Well, day game after night game, this will wake you up. Little foul tip for Jose Lobaton. Welcome to the 2015 season. That can't feel good.
Two-two pitch. Granderson making him work.
Yeah, last year, Steven Strasburg would work up to that 95, 96. But today, I don't know, first start of the year, who he's facing. But he was 95 out of bed, and he's touched 96 twice already.
Strasburg struck out 28% of the batters he faced last year. That's 9 above the major league average. Way inside. Granderson dances out. And then Steven, along with that, able to walk only 5% of the batters he faced. 3 under the big league average. And what a good at bat for Curtis Granderson to start the game for the Mets. In 2013, these guys saw each other. The Mets won the game at Citi Field 7-1. Harvey went 7, a run on 4 hits. Strasburg went 6, 2 earned runs, 4 runs total on 5 hits. And they each threw well over 100 pitches.
You know what I remember about that game? One thing. It was the first time I saw Matt Harvey pitch, and he got out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam. And I said, this guy has what it takes. It's not about the stuff, about the man. He has some kind of makeup.
That was in the 7th inning. LaRoche walked, Desmond singled, Chet Tracy singled. There's a broken bat, one hopper right side, and a tailor-made 4-6-3 for the Nationals. David Wright slow getting out of the box like a lot of hitters would after a swing like that.
I mean, there's pieces of bat all over the infield. Bat boys picking up pieces, umpires picking up pieces. I don't think you can fracture a bat any more violent than this. David Wright with nothing but the handle in his left hand as the bat goes helicoptering out there. Yeah, real funny up here in the booth with makeup on. When you're facing 96 and Steven Strasburg throws you a 2-seamer, that can happen to the best hitters. It just happened to David Wright.
Nationals turn their second double play of the young season, and the bases are empty for a Lucas Duda Strasburg matchup.
Duda's by far had the best swing for the Mets the first 2 games.
He has. He's an unlucky 3 for 8 with a couple of RBIs. Yeah. He could have 5 or 6 hits.
Easy.
Now that's Escobar in front of the umpire. On the shift, Ian Desmond stays home at short. Good fastball in there, 1-1. Lucas Duda 1 for 6 career against Steven Strasburg with a home run. Pretty good hack, and it's 1-2.
Strasburg likes to get a feel for all of his off-speed pitches early. He'll throw the curveball early in the game. He'll throw the changeup. His theory being, he doesn't want to pull it out when he has to in crucial situations late in the game without having established it yet.
Tried to come from the side door with a breaking ball there. Let's go inside the numbers with Jeep. In his season debuts, of course, we all remember the first one back in 09, or rather 2010, when he struck out the entire city of Pittsburgh. He is 2-0 in those previous 5 games. Just 5 starts in 2011, then a fairly full load the last 3 years. The well talked about shutdown in 2012. And then 183 innings in 13 and 215 last year.
If I'm Lucas Duda, I'm all in on a 3-2 fastball here. You throw anything else, you got me. He hasn't thrown his off speed for a strike yet.
Career ERA about a ½ point lower than it is overall. Strasburg went with the heater, 96, a little bit low. Lucas Duda draws the second Mets walk of the inning.
It was a fastball, 96. Good take by Duda. He's seeing it big right now in the second walk of the inning for Strasburg.
That'll bring in Michael Kadire. Kadire, .332 with Colorado last year, but he only played 49 games. Left shoulder got him in June. Left thigh muscle got him in August. And he's off to a 1 for 8 start. He has had 9 career at-bats against Steven with 2 base hits. Clint Robinson really deep in left. A man who's only played 9 games in the big leagues. That's a ball hit hard up the middle. Duda will stop at second as Taylor's up with it. It'll set up a pretty good Strasburg-Daniel Murphy matchup with 2 outs.
Well, I'm telling you, big league hitters are smart, and a veteran guy like Michael Kadire has been watching what's going on. Before you get your first at bat, you're paying attention. And what they're seeing right now is that Steven Strasburg's throwing his fastball for strikes. It has good velocity. He still hasn't thrown the curveball or the changeup for a strike. So if they see that rotation, it's an automatic take at this point, and they're just looking for number 1.
Daniel Murphy, 3 for 10, couple of walks career against Strasburg. Off to a 1 for 8 start. Goes up swinging, and a fly ball that'll test Clint Robinson, tailing toward the line. He'll grab it. It's a fair ball, and the top of the first is over. Long inning, couple of walks. Strasburg, though, pitches around that and ahead. PNC Bank for the achiever in you. And by Ocean City, Maryland. Put your vacation days to good use in Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at OCOcean.com. Oh, those are pleasant thoughts right now. Vacation days on the ocean. Warmer days ahead. Chilly today. The Nats hitting a .161. So it's Taylor, Escobar, Harper. And then Ryan Zimmerman, 3 for 8 with a home run against Matt Harvey. Bryce Harper, by the way, 0 for 7. Ian Desmond has 3 career hits. Clint Robinson gets his second major league start today. It's batting 5th in left field, and Jose Lobaton, day game after night game, giving Wilson Ramos the day off. Here we go with Matt Harvey. Haven't seen him in 2 years. Been looking forward to this. 96 on the inside edge.
So these are from 2013. His fastball averaged 95.8 miles an hour, slider 90, curveball 84, changeup 87. First start in 593 days for Matt Harvey. Welcome back.
That's a lot of rest. Michael Taylor late for the heater.
Well, the thing that everybody was impressed with in spring training was Matt Harvey's command. 21 strikeouts, just 1 walk in 22 and 2/3 spring training's innings. And usually that's the last thing to come after Tommy John surgery, but he has been pinpoint with all of his pitches.
Sinking action on that 95. Taylor 2 for 8, had a double in his last at bat last night. So he singled in his first at bat Monday. And a 1-2 now. Off speed got him. Kind of a slow motion swing by a fooled right-handed batter.
A couple of fastballs to the curveball for Matt Harvey, and this is a dandy. 12-6 off the table, strikes out Michael Taylor, and that's how Matt Harvey's return starts, with a strikeout. Told his dad Ed, who was his coach in high school, that he could have pitched last August, that he was ready last August. So the calendar kind of worked out for Matt Harvey with the Tommy John surgery. You know, usually it's 12 to 14 months post-op, but with the offseason, he got more rest.
Yunel Escobar goes up hacking. Well, FP, these are huge investments, these young men who can pitch like this. They are few and far between. And ball clubs, and the Nationals might have set the standard for that 3 years ago. They're going to be conservative bringing these kids back. They want to make sure everything is right. It sure appears it is. That's a heater upstairs. 1-1-97. Average just under 96 2 years ago. Strasburg was right behind him.
There's certain guys that when you wait this long to come back, you have to control your emotions. Hey, I got to reel it in today, dial it down a little bit. I say throw all that out the window with Matt Harvey. Take all this adrenaline, all this anxiousness. You've been waiting for so long. Let it rip.
Escobar, veteran hitter, not biting on that curveball away. Unell checked in with his first Nationals hit, first time up last night. And then he walked off to a start of 1 for 7.
Escobar thought this was down. Tim Timmons thought it was a strike. It was a good pitch, 97 at the knees.
And during the break, Steve McCaddy was after Tim Timmons on a similar Strasburg pitch. I think that one by Harvey was higher than the one he didn't give to Strasburg. But pitching coaches like to work the umpires early, the same way coaches work officials. Harper on deck, and Escobar, a full count pitch. Good at bat for him, and the Nats have a base runner.
So the defense for the Mets today behind Matt Harvey. Kadire, Lagares, Granderson in the outfield. Flores right, left side. Murphy, Duda right side. And once again, day game after night game, Travis d'Arnaud behind the plate.
Hey, Anthony Recker, their backup, not in there today. They wanted d'Arnaud handling Harvey. Mets go to Atlanta to open up tomorrow night. The Nationals will be in Philadelphia. And here's Bryce Harper off to a great start with a home run, a walk. He's 4 for 7. And he has played sparkling defense in right field. Harper is 0 for 7 with 2 strikeouts against Matt Harvey previously. Escobar, medium lead. Harper waving at the fastball up and away. No way to catch 97 up there. Harvey against left-handers. So far in his career, they've hit a .187 against him. His away ERA 2.93. 1.89 at Citi Field, which is a cozier ballpark since the last time he pitched there. Fence is coming in again this year. And he bounces a throw over. Duda picked it off.
It's 250 feet all the way around at Citi Field. 19-18 finals. Look, he almost gets Escobar sleeping.
Yeah, got him walking off the bag. Flores and Murphy pinched up the middle, looking for 2. Harper looking for contact. And Bryce has it by him, 97. 2 Ks around to walk.
Well, the Mets, for the most part, have been throwing Bryce Harper away with fastballs in this series, and it continues here in his first at bat. Bryce has done a nice job, especially last night against Jacob deGrom, of going the other way. But this time, 97 has a little giddy up at the end, and Harper can't catch up.
Ryan Zimmerman, first inning, 2-run homer last night. Escobar was on base for that one. The only Nationals runs in a 2-1 win. Zimmerman's homered off Harvey before, 3 for 8 career.
I see early Matt Harvey likes to pick on the way up. What does that mean? Well, a lot of guys come set and he'll throw over to first, but Matt Harvey will throw over at any time. So as a base runner facing him, he's got quick feet, a strong arm. You got to keep your eyes on the pitcher at all times. And you got to get out there quick.
Escobar 31 career steals. And Matt Harvey awfully occupied with him right now. Now that is a big power zone. Ryan can take it down and in and up and away.
The home run last night was even more inside than the green.
Yeah. And Escobar does run. He's out on a ball on a bounce to Wilmer Flores, who picked it. And the Nats still without a stolen base this year. So Zimmerman will lead off the second.
No, with the managers this year, they just have to give a sign for the replay. They don't have to come out unless there's 2 outs in the ante. It's a great shot, guys. It's tough to see the first time around. I actually got him with both feet. But to hold the team on the field, that's the only time a manager has to come out of the dugouts with 2 outs.
Juan Lagares out to Clint Robinson. 1 pitch, 1 out, top of the second. Tag-up plays reviewable this year, and challenges retained after every time a manager is successful. That home plate collision will be more scrutinized than ever before. Terry Collins Mets. Matt Williams Nationals, the odds-on favorites in the division. The Mets made a late charge last year, and they were able to tie Atlanta with 79 wins, but both 17 behind Washington. Travis d'Arnaud, the catcher, he's had a good series. He's 3 for 7 with a pair of RBIs, just threw out a runner, and he's handled their pitching staff really well. That went right over the Nats dugout. Travis d'Arnaud, 26 years of age now. A couple of times on the DL with concussions last year, and then he had a bone chip in his right elbow in September. Didn't play the last week and a half of the season. But he drove in 41 runs in 108 games. .233 career hitter. Target right down the middle, and Strasburg throws the hook. Count 1 ball, 2 strikes. When he was ahead in the count last year, they hit 136 against him. Target moves in. So does the fastball. Jams him. Ryan Zimmerman with room.
Guess what, folks? The All-Star game is in D.C. in 2018. Bryce Harper approves. He's going to look at that sign and nod in a second. We want you to be a part of this once-in-a-lifetime experience, too. To get first priority on tickets, become a 2015 full season plan holder today. For more information, go to nationals.com/DC at 18. Bryce's uniform even dirty in the promo.
He said, I am not going on camera until I slide head first somewhere. Here's the shortstop, Wilmer Flores. Now, last night, with Jacob deGrom on the mound, Terry Collins hit Flores 9th behind the pitcher. He went 1 for 3 with an infield hit. Jacob deGrom did come up one time with 2 men on base. Strasburg throws it by him. And Flores, the 23-year-old shortstop, 1 for 7 to start the season, 0 for 2 career against Strasburg. And a ball hit pretty well out to right center, but Michael Taylor covers the ballpark well. Beauty of the National League, you get to face the pitcher next inning. Ryan Zimmerman will go back to the batter's box to lead off the bottom of the 2nd.
The best thing about Asbar getting thrown out to end the bottom of the 1st is Ryan Zimmerman got a sneak peek at Matt Harvey. Didn't get a sneak peek at Jacob deGrom last night. It's the first time he ever faced him. Look at him pull his hands in on the mid-90s two-seam fastball from deGrom. 2-run homer in the 1st inning. And that would be the Nats' rally for the night. They held on for a 2-1 lead. That's all they needed was that tater off the bat of Ryan Zimmerman.
Well, they call power hitters in this town capital punishers. And Ryan Zimmerman passed Roy Sievers of the Nats/Senators. He played here from 54 to 59, again in 64 and 65. Ryan hit his 185th. Frank Howard, the all-time Washington home run record of 237. Two and 0. Jim Lemon is 4th on that list with 144. No swing. Todd Titchener down there at first base. So the count 3-0. This could be interesting.
He doesn't like to swing 3-0 generally. We'll see.
.96 on the inner half. Target in there again, and Ryan got jammed into a pop-up. Flores out. Kadire calls him off. for the first out. Let's check in with Dan Kolko.
Bob, as you mentioned last inning, this is only the second career start for 30-year-old Clint Robinson, and it comes against the flame-throwing Matt Harvey. I jokingly asked Robinson earlier today if he could have asked for a slightly easier assignment. He said, hey, I'll take him any way I can get him. He's just another pitcher. He then paused, cracked a smile, and said, don't print that before I can face the dark night. I don't want to get one up around the chin.
Clint Robinson put up amazing numbers for a lot of years in the Royals organization. They drafted him in the 25th round in 08. He hit 141 home runs in the minor league, and 123 of those were for Kansas City, 18 for the Dodgers at Albuquerque last year. But in all that time, he got 4 at-bats with Kansas City in 2012 and 9 with the Dodgers with 3 hits last year. So for whatever reason, never got much of a shot at the big league level. With Toronto for a while back in 13, they picked him up on waivers, and he played AA, AAA for the Blue Jays. Inside out swing, and this ball to left for Kadire. Easy play, 2 down. Next up will be Ian Desmond. For the Achiever and you, PNC Bank, with our sort of minor league report. Weather permitting, Jason's scheduled to play 7 innings 30 miles south of here tonight down in Woodbridge for the Potomac Nationals. Denard Span and Casey Jansen heading back to Florida. Denard's going to play a bunch of minor league ball games down there.
There's Denard.
Yeah, he's with the ball club until late this afternoon, then off to the airport. And how about the runs?
Look what they're missing.
42% with Span, Anthony Rendon, and Jason Worth out. But Denard says he's feeling great.
Yeah, we can't wait to see him back, Jason back, and Anthony.
Off speed, there's a changeup at 88. Ian Desmond 0 for 7. Three ground balls on Monday, lined out hard to left last night. Been making contact. Like that, and that's into the right field corner. Desmond thinking 3 until Granderson stops him. It'll be a 2-out double for Ian Desmond. I've been waiting for him to hit the ball to that side of the field, and he did it beautifully. He had 33 doubles last year.
Hey, the doubles machine. First knock of the year for Ian Desmond. It's down the right field corner, getting on top of a Matt Harvey fastball with 2 strikes. How about that? And on a day when you really have to take care of it, there goes a no-hitter.
Two-out chance for Dan Uggla. He had some good hacks last night. Uggla's 1 for 7. Second time up last night, 4th inning, doubled hard to the left center gap. And he's 1 for 3 career against Harvey. Obvious in this ball game, whoever scores first, it's huge. It's been kind of that way all 3 games of this well-pitched, low-scoring series. David Wright to his right. Pops up and throws. Safe is Uggla at first base. Desmond a third. 2 on, 2 out.
A great play by David Wright to save a run right here. This ball was down in the corner for a double off the bat of Dan Uggla, and David Wright selling out to the line. Saved his ball club a run. What a play by David Wright. And Ian Desmond had notions of scoring right here on the throw. He took a big turn at third. Uggla hustling into first. And Duda, with great awareness, got up quick. Didn't have the ball, but Uggla smelling an infield single, hustling down the line. I thought Desmond was going to try to score right there. Long throw across the infield.
And you know what?
About it.
And if Lucas Duda doesn't pick that ball cleanly, he does score.
Oh, he dropped it, but Desmond had no way of knowing.
Kept it close. Duda trying to hang on that bag, and here's Lobaton, first at bat of the season. Harvey can choose how he wants to take on this number 8 hitter with the pitcher on deck. Big gap in right center. Fastball just away. 2-0. David Wright about 35 feet off the line at third in case Jose would get around late.
It's a good hack.
Pretty good rip, yeah.
Talking about last night, as a major league hitter, you work to get to an advantageous count. Let it fly. You know, Escobar got to a 2-1 count last night. Jacob deGrom threw him a changeup. He came out of his shoes, missed it by a mile, but that's how you swing when you're ahead in the count.
This will be out of play, left field side. Strasburg had a quick second inning, 10 pitches. He's at 27. Harvey now about to throw his 38th pitch total. And he does get around late, and it's foul. Well, without Matt Harvey last year, Mets pitching staff still had the 6th best ERA in the league at 3.49. You know, right in the middle in runs given up. Top 3 in strikeouts, but they walked a lot of hitters, third most. And the addition of Matt Harvey, big, although they did lose Zach Wheeler, who prior to his injury was throwing as well as anybody on their staff. Two-two, and Lobaton turns this into a long at bat.
Now this is where, as a hitter, you're digging in, 3-2, 2 outs. You have the pitcher on deck, so a tough spot for an 8-hole hitter. Definitely not guaranteed a fastball in a 3-2 count, even against a guy like Matt Harvey that throws upper 90s. You know, he might not give in here and take his chances with Steven Strasburg. We'll see.
Nasty breaking ball right down the middle is where it ends up, at the knees. 3 Ks for Harvey. Nats made him work long in that inning. No score into the third. Some folks still coming in. And last year on this date, Eighth inning, Jason Worth a grand slam in a 4-run eighth inning that turned into a 10-7 come from behind win over the Marlins when Rafael Soriano went out there and got his second save in the ninth inning. That was an 8.5 inning game that had 17 runs, 25 hits, and it took 3 hours and 56 minutes.
That was an epic bat flip. Epic.
After nearly 4 hours, ready to put an end to that one. Here's Matt Harvey. Strasburg 95 in there. Harvey is 0 for 2 career against Steven. Steven is 1 for 2 career against Matt.
I mean, Jason Worth does the bat flip on a base hit, but on a grand slam, watch this. This is an epic bat flip. Look how far the bat goes. I mean, that's all the way to the Nats' dugout. And he's letting you know he got him, and we missed that. And hopefully we'll see it in Boston. Yeah, one more time. Why not?
Tyler Clippard got that win. Nothing but heaters, and Harvey goes and takes a seat. Strasburg, first strikeout. And every time a Nationals pitcher does that this year, the Washington area Toyota dealers help children and their families at the Children's Inn at the National Institutes of Health with a $37 donation. Toyota, K's for kids. First time through the lineup, the Mets go 1 for 7 with 2 walks. Top of the order in Curtis Granderson. In the 3 times he's led off the ball game in the series, he's walked twice, struck out once. Saw 22 pitches in those 3 at bats. So he is 0 for 7 in the series, but he's drawn 3 bases on balls. Holding on to the changeup a little too long there. 2-1. For Strasburg, first 2 innings, 27 pitches, 17 strikes. Granderson in the air, out of play.
Yeah, what you see generally with Steven Strasburg, second time around, he'll start to go to his off speed more. First 3 pitches to Curtis Granderson off speed, then he falls behind, goes with the fastball. And anytime in a Strasburg start, he gets through the first inning clean, look out. Gets into that rhythm, 3rd, 4th, 5th inning. That's when he usually settles down.
Yeah, a couple of walks in the first inning today. The double play ball was huge. There was also a base hit. And a breaking ball that Granderson was patient on. Rides it out to right center. Taylor calls off Harper to pick up the grounder. And the Mets have their 4th base runner, their 2nd base hit.
I think Curtis Granderson's going to have a big year. He looks like a completely different hitter this year. Very balanced up there, being patient, seeing the ball better. Kevin Long coming over from the Yankees. They work so well together over there, and they're working well here again.
Mets were 6th in stolen bases last year. Granderson doesn't run nearly as much as he did earlier in his career. Strasburg looks it back. Steven gave up 13 stolen bases last year, most on the staff, but he did get the ball quickly enough to Ramos and Lobaton to get 6 runners caught stealing. So along with his catchers, right at a 33% success rate. But he really improved that from 2 years ago. So did Drew Storn out of the bullpen. And you caught it early last year. FP Strasburg often looks over before he even comes set. Early look at the runner. And the step off.
Well, he started doing that last year because, I mean, quite frankly, there were times when he just forgot about the runner. You know, sometimes guys with stuff like Strasburg feel like, hey, go ahead and steal second and third. I still got to get the hitter out, but more attention to detail last year, and that's part of his routine now.
To short. Desmond boots it. And for Ian Desmond, his third error of the season already.
Boy, you see that coming. You see that coming all the way. And why? Because he sat on it. And anytime you sit on a baseball this long, you're at the mercy of the ball. But watch him set up too soon, and then he gets a tricky in-between hop. Stays with it nice, but the speed of David Wright beats it out. You see him sit there. Anytime you younger players, when your feet get still, your glove gets hard. Always keep your feet moving. That'll keep your glove soft. As soon as Ian Desmond set his feet, his glove got hard, got it in between hop, couldn't handle it.
Danger zone here with Lucas Duda. Strasburg walked him in the first. And the breaking ball to fall behind.
Now it's up to Steven Strasburg to gear back up. He thought he might be out of the inning with a 6-4-3 double play, and now he's got a couple runners on.
Well, we chronicled the early season struggles of Ian Desmond. Last year, 8 errors in April, 7 the year before that. 2 on opening day, cost the Nationals all 3 runs in a 3-1 loss.
It's funny, then he goes May, June, July, doesn't even make an error. He just has trouble getting out of the gate.
Strike call. 94, just under the ceiling of the strike zone. Duda gave up on it. And Strasburg in a position now against a left-hander to get that important second out. Michael Kadire, who has a base hit on deck. Lobaton with a good stop. That hit him. Must have gotten Duda on the foot as it went by. And the bases are loaded.
And tried to put him away with the curveball at the back knee, and I think, where did he get him? In the back foot.
Got all 3 of them.
Well, this is where Ian Desmond is crossing his fingers and hoping that Steven Strasburg can pick him up. There's no worse feeling as a defender than making an error on a double play ball, and he's out there wanting another chance. And he's hoping that his pitcher picks him up.
Number of Mets fans in the ballpark today making noise. Nats fans trying to boo them down, and that's a strike call to Kadire, who with his first inning single is 3 for 10 career against Strasburg. Sounded like a broken bat, and it's over the reach of Ugla. The Mets are on the board. The line moving, and the bases remain loaded. Just got enough that Dan Ugla couldn't reach it.
Boy, just the veteran hitters, the guys that are used to driving in runs. What do they do in big situations? They think about going up the middle the other way. Watch Michael Kadire taking an inside fastball from Steven Strasburg, inside out and the other way. Ugla thought he had a chance. But the Mets draw first blood, 1-0. Nice piece of hitting by Kadire. That wasn't a bad pitch by Steven Strasburg.
Yeah. Well, Daniel Murphy coming up. Good contact man, line drive hitter. A lot of work left in this inning.
And we talked about the Nats early in the season, banged up, have to play clean baseball. They were here at 9:30 this morning taking infield. They've been working at it.
And a chopper. It's going to drive in a run, and everybody's safe. It just was placed perfectly on the high bounce. 2-0 on a Murphy RBI.
This was a base hit right off the plate. I mean, Steven Strasburg going for it, but even if he catches it, there's nobody at first base. I think the only play is if Ryan Zimmerman got it and threw it to third, actually, where his momentum was taking him. And how many times did you see it in the last few years? An error behind Steven Strasburg, and then the wheels kind of fall off. Trying to regroup.
Juan Lagares next. And he smells a big inning, goes up hacking. Way over a third of his pitches this inning. Coming off a 9-pitch second. Good breaking ball there. One side of the plate to the other, strike two.
This is where the more experience you get as a pitcher, even though there's weird stuff going on behind you, you tell yourself, hey, I'm one pitch away. I will locate a good two-seamer here and get a ground ball. Hopefully I'm out of this inning with a double play. Probably thinking more about the punch out right now in an 0-2 count, but those are the thoughts that have to go through your head.
Jammed in with a fastball and gets the pop-up. Infield fly rule in effect. Zimmerman grabs it, 2 down.
Big out. Treat your clients, employees, friends, or family to an amazing outing at Nats Park this year. New for 2015, brand new fan experiences could be included with your group outing, like watching batting practice from the dugout, or watching games from the dugout like I used to, or holding the finish line for the Geico President's Race. Call 202-675-NATS or visit nationals.com/groups to book your tickets today.
Travis d'Arnaud fouled out to Zimmerman first time. And Travis d'Arnaud taking one of his several really good hacks in this series.
Well, this is a huge at-bat in this ball game. You know, watching the Nats swings off Harvey, they've been very comfortable early in this game. And this is about damage control for Steven Strasburg. If he can wiggle out of this thing with just giving up a 2 spot, I feel like the Nats are seeing Harvey well.
And a breaking ball slapped out to center. Here comes Taylor. Out goes Desmond. 2-run score. And the Mets have made it 4-0. Travis d'Arnaud has driven in 4 runs in this series.
And just reaches out and hits the curveball off the end of the bat. Perfectly placed. And you thought Michael Taylor might have a beat on this. And a huge knock for Travis d'Arnaud and the Mets. That was a big at-bat.
Yeah, they've scored 8 runs in this series, and he's driven in 4. There's Wilmer Flores, the shortstop. Fly ball to center for him first time up. Work left to do. Good block Lobaton with a runner 90 feet away.
'55th pitch coming for Steven Strasburg here in the third. 54th.
Yeah.
Scoreboard says 54.
That's a foul ball. Ninth man to bat is Flores this inning. It all started with Harvey striking out. The Granderson base hit, then the error that opened up the inning. A hit batter, 3 more hits, and the Mets have 4. That's on the inside corner, unhittable fastball. Strasburg out of the inning. The error, costly, could have been a scoreless game still.
Too soon for a ball, you're at the mercy of the hop. And the luxury of playing shortstop is if you keep your feet moving, you can create your own hops. And you can kind of see how that ball is going to Ian Desmond. Maybe you give on it a little bit to get the big end of that back hop. But once he plants, now he's at the mercy of the baseball. So watch where that last hop is. It kind of comes up and bites him right in the palm of the hand. But if you set up too soon, now you have to field whatever hop you're given. That's more like a third baseman. When you play third base, you don't have the luxury of creating your own hops with your feet by getting around the baseball. You know, at shortstop, when you're that far away, you do. And I think maybe Ian set up just a hair too soon. The ball came up and bit him. And that was the difference in turning a 6-4-3 double play or making an error. Happens, been there, done it. I just want to give a little lesson to maybe you younger players at home to always keep those feet moving or keep your hands soft.
3 of the 4 runs in that inning unearned. So the Nats have given up 8 runs to the Mets, and 6 are because of errors. Strasburg strikes out taking. That's Matt Harvey's 4th of the day. So the Nationals go 2 for 8 against him with a walk first time through. Top of the order, Taylor and Escobar the next 2. And they're going to work Michael A., the youngster, over with those breaking balls away until he finds a way to take those the other way. Out of all of his at-bats, he's hit the ball to the right side of the infield once. That was a pop fly to Duda, foul ground last night. His 2 hits, everything else to the pull side. And an 0-2 pitch. No swing. Runs that one back, and that was a hitter who thought he had just been called out on strikes. Maybe a step or two toward the dugout.
Well, he thought this was strike 3. Matt Harvey thought it was strike 3, but Travis d'Arnaud was setting up on the inner half. The ball was on the outer half.
Counts 2-2 instead. And Taylor gets the fastball and slams it off of d'Arnaud. Michael Taylor, just 24 years of age on March 26th. 39 at bats for the Nats with 8 hits last year. Then he's worked the count full here. On a fastball in, strikes him out. 3 in a row and 5 for Harvey.
A membership for the 2015 Junior Nationals Kids Club. That's presented by Harris Teeter. They're on sale now. The Junior Nats Kids Club is full of great benefits for Nats fans ages 12 or younger. MVP members will receive a membership card, book bag, growth chart, and coupons. Go to nationals.com/juniornats to register your child today. Those kids grew 3 feet last year. And they're all taking off school to watch the pitching match up here today. And we're okay with that.
Or how late is spring break for some schools?
I don't know. I'd skip school to see this one. Yeah, I'd skip school for a lot of reasons.
Yunel Escobar, base on balls, first time up on a 1-1 pitch. To the left side, David Wright cuts it off, and then it comes out of his glove. Interesting decision for the official score on a ball with a lot of topspin.
You know, I'm watching the dirt and how it's playing today. And you remember last night there was some rain, put some turfus on it. And generally speaking, when you put that diamond dry on the field, you'll get a live dirt surface. And like you said, Carp, that ball had tons of topspin, kind of shot on David Wright. And even after we showed you the Ian Desmond double play again, that ball had a little extra juice on it too.
So Escobar gets a base hit. He's been on base now 4 times in his last 6 at bats. And here's Bryce Harper. Bryce could change this game in a hurry, but he's got to find some contact against Harvey. 0 for 8 career, 3 Ks. And a matchup that should be fun to watch in this division for a number of years.
Well, the one thing we've known from Bryce Harper in the past is he can get jumpy at the plate, where he really lunges at the pitcher. We haven't seen that in spring training or the first 2 games of the year. His balance and how under control he is in the batter's box is something we haven't seen before in 3 years.
Target away. And Harvey's been pounding the fastball out there against Bryce. Got him again. Matt Harvey strikes out the side, 6 Ks in 3 innings, and enjoying on the road a 4-run lead. The Nats will be taking on the Phils in the first of 3. So 7 o'clock tomorrow night, Saturday night, Sunday day game, and the Nationals will be the Red Sox home opener at Fenway Monday afternoon. Night game Tuesday, and then another day game after that. Then the Nats will be home to take on Philadelphia and St. Louis. Former National Jerome Williams, who won 1 game for Houston, 4 for the Phillies last year, goes for the Fightin' Phils tomorrow night. He of the changeup.
Check the weather for Boston on Monday. There's supposed to be 4 feet of snow.
Come on.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's in the 60s, I saw, but very windy on Monday.
They had a rough winter, boy.
And then Tuesday and Wednesday, it's supposed to be beautiful up there. No balls and 2 strikes. Strasburg's 4th inning underway. Leading off the 3rd was Harvey, struck out looking, and here he is leading off again after that big 4-run inning. Harvey gets some wood on it, and he'll have to get some new wood.
He's going to have to go get another Dark Knight edition. If you look at the knob of his bat, it says Dark Knight on it. Most guys have their number. He has Dark Knight. There you go.
Yeah. Little chopper, and Strasburg will handle it. Little double clutch and a lob over to Zimmerman.
There it is. The Dark Knight returns.
I got to admit, I had to laugh at Chris Russo today on MLB Network, saying a guy with 12 major league wins, all this stuff going on, come on.
He doesn't hold back, and that's what we love about him.
Yeah, Chris is something else. Hey, Dizzy Dean used to say, if you can do it, it ain't bragging. We'll see.
I should have put 6-3 on the bottom of my bed. Or F7.
Top of the order, Granderson. He's been a leadoff guy today. A walk, a single, a run scored. Skies one to center, and Michael Taylor under it, cruising near the track. 2 down.
The ball's carrying pretty good today compared to last night. And that's the only way the Nats jump into this game, is get a few base runners on and pop one out of here.
Yep. Flags out in the plaza. Left center, near where that camera is you're looking from. Not doing anything, but we look at the flags on the right center field scoreboard, and they're just waving gently out toward left field. There they are. The blank flag to the right to be filled in one of these years. (1924, 25, and 33 World Series dates for the Senators. They won in 24, beat the Giants. Lost to the Pirates in 25. Lost to the Giants in 33. It's a long, long time ago. This town desperately wanting a championship, and a big-time breaking ball there for David Wright. 1 ball and 2 strikes. David Wright's ground ball, the one that Desmond committed the error on. His fly ball Monday was the dagger in that 3-1 loss. Front door breaking ball, and David Wright fouled it. Wright had designs on pulling one with authority in the air to left. David only hit 8 home runs in 134 games last year, drove in 63. That was 10 home runs fewer than the year before that, when he played only 112 games.
You know, the one pitch you really haven't seen consistently from Stephen Strasburg today is that devastating put-away changeup. The one that the wipeout one he throws with 2 strikes.
Question: touch pitch harder on a day like this?
No, he just doesn't have a feel for it. I'd say anytime there's humidity in the air, pitchers get a good grip on the baseball.
David Wright jammed, and he'll drop one into center.
I mean, it is a touch pitch, Carp, and it can go from start to start when you talk to power pitchers. But I guess my point is when he's locked in, he throws. The key for me last year was when he throws that changeup early in the count for a strike, when guys are sitting on the fastball to get him off the ambush. And then when he threw the wipeout changeup, where he just threw it as hard as he could with 2 strikes. Today, it's really been just fastball, curveball.
Yeah. And the Mets have a couple of scratch hits in this one. Granderson's barely got over Ugla last inning.
So in 68 pitches, I'm being told he's only thrown 5 changeups.
2 outs, runner at first. Shift is on. David Wright, another guy who doesn't run as much as he used to. Due to lifting one to left center, it'll be covered by Taylor. Time to get the offense going in the middle innings. Zimmerman, Robinson, and Desmond 4-5-6 ahead for the Nationals. No, I think Abe's due. Teddy barely beat him last night. When Teddy's out like this early, he usually doesn't make it, the Rough Rider.
Teddy looks shorter today for some reason. Did he shrink in the offseason?
For some reason, Tom takes a circuitous route to the tape. I just had a feeling about Abe after watching him win it 2 minutes ago. Well, maybe a minute and a half ago. No shenanigans, no skits, just true presidents racing the last 2 days. So here's our Honda do-up, bottom of the 4th inning, what they've done this series. It's a good thing Ryan Zimmerman is 1 for 8. The Nats would be staring a sweep in the face. In the air for Granderson. Clint Robinson, Ian Desmond, the next 2. Well, Matt Harvey starting, even though he has struck out 6, starting to be much more efficient. He's still just under 60 pitches. Stephen Strasburg is up around 70 now because of that nightmare of a 3rd inning. Here's Robinson, who flied to left first time up. Matt Williams said this morning that Clint Robinson, when he's swinging really well, tends to hit low laser line drives from gap to gap. We saw him show off a lot of power with that simple, quick swing of his down in Vieira.
Well, what Matt Harvey's done better than anything today is keep the ball down. Even though he's throwing upper 90s, he's been knee high with his fastball. Unless it's late in the count, he's tried to elevate. Everyone talk about his command in spring training, 21 strikeouts versus just 1 walk. Command's been good here again today.
Robinson gets one to center. Going back is Lagares, backtracking in front of the 4:02 mark. And Robinson, a lot of power, using the biggest part of the park right there.
But gave it a ride, but the Gold Glove center fielder from the New York Mets had a beat on it all the way. Just off the end, but he still hit it 400 feet. And you got a good idea why Juan Lagares won a Gold Glove. He just ran to a spot. He almost knew exactly where that ball was going to be and actually squared up to it at the end. Didn't even catch it on a run.
Here's Ian Desmond, who doubled opposite field. First time up, half of a swing on that. Out to short on the charge, Flores, and that's a bad throw into the dirt, and Duda can't get it, and their shortstop should get an error for that.
Well, Lucas Duda picked up Wilmer Flores last night on a really tough in-between hop. This one not really as tough. And maybe he thought it was going to be an easy pick too. Hit him in the heel. Ian Desmond hustling down the line, so the Nats have life with 2 outs, and maybe Dan Uggla can put a charge into one.
Mets' second error of this series. Murphy made one on opening day, and here's Dan Uggla, who gets a chance with 2 outs. 2-hopper, David Wright, sure-handed over there, inning over. So Harvey, contact outs in the 4th inning. Who needs strikeouts when you can do that? He leads by 4.
Top of the 5th inning, 4-0 Mets, and it was all about the 4-run 3rd inning for New York after the Ian Desmond error. Michael Kadire kind of inside out one, maybe even a broken bat. That scored Curtis Granderson, then Daniel Murphy, chopper off the plate in no man's land. Nothing you could do about that one. That scored David Wright to make it 2-0, and the big blow, Travis d'Arnaud with a blooper off the end of the bat. That scored a couple, and that's where we're at, 4-0 Mets. So not exactly tearing the cover off the ball, but effective nonetheless.
Kadire 2 for 2. Steven Strasburg's 70th pitch of the day to start the 5th inning. Good feel for that hook right now. Kadire now 4 for 11 career against Steven.
It's a good changeup.
Yeah. up a bit, but it still had the action.
So I think that's only a 6th changeup today, and it was a beauty, 86.
Goes with the heater, and that's foul. Actually took a little bit off, looked like a fastball, and at the last minute, a little dive to it at 87. Hearty crowd on hand for this one on a Thursday afternoon. Short homestand to start the season, gone for a week. And the 0-2. A lot of change-ups in that at bat. And he gets his 3rd strikeout.
And he tripled up to Michael Kadire. So after throwing 5 in his first 70 pitches, he throws 3 in a row to Michael Kadire and gets him on strike 3. See on the fingertips, off the end. Looks like a fastball. And at 87, it is some guy's fastball.
Here's Daniel Murphy, who chopped that ball off the plate last time. That made it 2-0 before the Darno bloop. '94 here in the 5th inning. And this one for Clint Robinson, who hasn't played in outfield basically at all in the major leagues. So here's Dan down by the dugout.
The Nats were 15-4 against the Mets last season and outscored them by a whopping 43 runs. And while the Mets are certainly trying their best to beat every team they play this season, their manager Terry Collins made it clear this spring that his team needs to improve that record against the Nats in 2015. He didn't really offer any specific ways to go about doing that, telling reporters we've just got to play better. But the Nats will definitely be on the Mets' minds as this season goes on. Curtis Granderson told me yesterday, until something changes, they're still the guys on top. We got to find a way to overtake them.
And then oddly enough, the Nationals go to Philadelphia. Phillies won the season series 10-9 last year. So the Nationals owe them a few. They beat the Nationals 6 out of 9 at Citizens Bank Park.
Well, they're going to be the targets for everybody. I mean, everybody picking the Nationals to win the World Series before the season starts. And I think that was the story of the 2013 season, is after winning the division title for the first time in 2012, they didn't really know how to expect taking everybody's best punch every night. You know, when you're the champs, they're going to come after you every single day. You're going to get everybody's best bolt, and that was new to them in 2013. I think it rocked them a little bit early in the season. Last year, they knew what to expect, won the division again, and now they're in the same spot this year, having to defend their title.
And a 1-2 coming. Looked like he went. Todd Titchener says Juan Lagares did, and Strasburg gets his first 1-2-3 inning of the day, and a good time for it. Lobaton, Strasburg, and Taylor coming up. 2-2, the bottom of the 5th inning. At the bottom of the order, 4-6-1 Mets, 0-3-1 Nats. Jose Lobaton struck out looking first time up. A couple of guys on base, and Harvey surprised him with a full count breaking ball. Pitcher on deck to end the 2nd inning. And FP, you know, and I know that at bat probably reminded you how tough it is to hit 8th in the major leagues.
Yeah, especially when you have a guy throwing upper 90s and you're just not guaranteed a 3-2 fastball. But you know, even in general now, the way the game has evolved, you don't see too many 3-2 fastballs ever. We were talking to Kevin Correa last year in Los Angeles, and he was saying, hey, I never throw a 3-2 fastball, and you'd be surprised how many rollovers I get to second base.
There's one on a 1-1 count. And Strasburg will bat with 1 out here in the 5th inning.
All right, here's the Potomac Nationals promo, and it's all you have to know is that there's a game at 7:05 tonight, and Jason Worth is playing.
703-590-2311. They're defending champions in the Carolina League again. Second time, I think, in the last 6 years. Strasburg struck out looking first time. Stevens started this season a 148 career hitter with a home run, 13 batted in. Gio Gonzalez has hit a home run in 3 consecutive seasons. He'll try to extend that dominant power streak at Philadelphia tomorrow night.
In his debut, right? The last couple years.
Yeah. Yeah, he hasn't wasted any time. That's a swing and a foul tip on a nasty fastball right near the hands of Steven Strasburg. For Matt Harvey, number 7.
Masson wants to hook you up with Nats gear to kick off the 2015 season. Visit Masson Nationals Facebook page at facebook.com/Masson Nationals to find out how you can win. Be social with Masson, Bob. It has its rewards.
Well said.
Social media, Bob Carpenter.
What do you want? I've spent $100,000 on electronics this offseason. I've gone everything over here.
The fans might faint if you got on Twitter.
It might happen when they least expect it.
You're probably on there.
I might already be on it. You just don't know it.
Alias.
You know, some people don't seek the limelight.
D Scorebook at D Scorebook.
You have to buy a scorebook to send me any kind of message. No balls, 2 strikes. Taylor has struck out twice.
Good profile pick. It was a 1980s tie.
That's one of my younger ones. What are you talking about? There's an old softball scorebook like I scored my first major league games a few years ago. Those are awfully busy with all the diamonds and stuff. Clean single by Michael Taylor. He's off to a 3-for-11 start, but he does have a 3-game hitting streak.
Nice piece of hitting right here, right back up the middle. Got a hanging, looked like curveball from Matt Harvey, and right where to hit it, on the barrel, up the middle. Nice piece of hitting.
That'll bring in the contact man, Yunel Escobar, who has walked. He has an infield hit off the glove of David Wright last time. And this one bounced right to Daniel Murphy. Nats go rather quietly in the 5th. They've had 4 hits. They've stranded 5 runners. It's all Harvey and the Mets in the rubber game. authority of the Washington Nationals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals. On to the top of the 6th inning. Strasburg at 80 pitches, Harvey at 77. You might say they've matched each other almost pitch for pitch, but things behind Steven Strasburg have gone wrong a time or two today and cost him 4 runs. Michael Kadire, a couple of hits, and Travis d'Arnaud drives in 2 more runs today. He leads off here in the 6th. Jacks one to left, and Travis d'Arnaud is one of the hottest hitting catchers in baseball here in the early going. In a season where a lot of hitting is not being done. Of the first 37 Major League games, this is remarkable. 13 were shutouts this week. 8 in the American League against AL teams, 5 against National League teams. The Rangers and Twins have been shut out twice, and Minnesota going into today has not scored a run yet, and they're rain delayed at Detroit right now. Offense tough first week of April, outdoors. Wilmer Flores the hitter. Vince Strasburg spinning that breaking ball low, 2-0. Number 8 hitter, pitcher on deck. A lot of weather across the Midwest today. Delayed at Cincinnati, delayed at Detroit. That's at Philly tomorrow. The Phillies hosting the Red Sox in the 3rd game of their series tonight. And there's a shot to left by Wilmer Flores. And a perfect bunting situation coming up for Matt Harvey.
Yeah, at 84 pitches, that might get a little attention down the bullpen for Steve McCatty and Matt Williams. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to the phone after that swing. There he is.
Matty LeCroy on the other end. This could be a Tanner Roark type scenario here.
Well, you got Curtis Granderson coming up, so you might get a lefty loose at first.
Yeah, there's Xavier Cedeno with Granderson up next.
And Matt Harvey with 77 pitches. Terry Collins before the game said today that he would probably go right around 90, so probably has 1 more inning in.
Harvey has struck out, bounced back to Strasburg. He bunts it backwards. He has 8 career sacrifice bunts. On a big league diamond for the first time in nearly 600 days. In 2013, he was 9-5 with a 2.27 ERA and 26 starts. 178 innings. He struck out 191. And the 0-2 is a bunt strikeout.
That's a big out if you want to stay in this ball game, and you're the Washington Nationals. You stay within 1 swing, you never know. Matt Harvey had a chance to help put the nail in the coffin. Couldn't get it done.
Curtis Granderson has walked, singled, scored, and hit a fly ball to center. There's Tanner Roark, who needs some work. I think one of the most interesting things to see this year will be how much a 15-game winner from the previous year even gets to pitch, given the talent of this starting rotation. And he's in the so-called long roll, early to middle part of the game. That man did a fantastic job for a championship ball club last year.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that long roll title on him just yet. I feel like Matt Williams will use him whenever he needs him. More like a utility guy like Craig Stammen's been. I mean, you could use Tanner Roark late. You know, if there's some late inning guys that need a day off, you can use him whenever.
Yeah.
His stuff plays no matter what inning, and we saw that last year.
He proved one thing last year. He's used to being on the mound late in a ball game.
Yeah.
He did it plenty of times. Oh, 2 to Granderson now, who has really been grinding out at bats for the Mets in this series.
See, this is a count in the past when Steven Strasburg go that changeup. You know, every once in a while break off a curveball to a lefty in a 1-2 count. But after showing Curtis Granderson 3 fastballs, that changeup that darts down and away is definitely in play.
One ball, 2 strikes, and way outside with the heater. Well, we mentioned Granderson. His first 3 leadoff at bats in this series, 22 pitches, and now in the middle of a 4th plate appearance today, he's seen 20. So he's made starters work and work and work, and it's now 3-2.
See if Terry Collins decides to start the runners.
David Wright on deck. Mets in a position to possibly deliver a knockout blow here, even though it's only the 6th inning. The way Harvey's been pitching, their bullpen's been pretty solid. And a 3-2. Off speed, bases loaded. Another great at bat by Curtis Granderson. He's walked 4 times in this series.
Decision time for Matt Williams. Is he going to go get his right-hander? Is he going to bring in Tanner Roark to face David Wright? Or is he going to let Steven Strasburg try to wiggle out of this thing? And it looks like he's going with his big right-hander.
David Wright, a double play grounder in the 1st. A potential double play grounder in the 3rd on the error by Desmond, and then a flare of a single out to right center in the 4th. Strasburg will go off the full windup here with 1 out. And David Wright will single to right field. It's a 5-0 game. Here comes another runner, Flores. He gets around the would-be tag, and the Mets lead by 6. Granderson to 3rd on the play. David Wright's first 2 RBIs.
So Matt Harvey didn't get the bunt down, but it didn't matter. A nice at-bat by Curtis Granderson. A better at-bat by David Wright. And a nice piece of hit and going the other way. Good throw by Bryce Harper, but Wilmer Flores too fast, and it's 6-0 Mets.
3 walks, 5 strikeouts, a hit batter, 9 hits given up by Steven Strasburg today against the Mets. Lucas Duda next, and a call to the bullpen package by the UPS store. Your one-stop shop for all your small business needs. Let us handle your mailbox service needs. We love logistics. Cedeno on the way.
Let's go back to the second inning. Dan Uggla up. David Wright making a dive-in play. Uggla would single with some hustle into first base. That kept Ian Desmond at third. So right there, the Nats had the potential to go up 1-0, and then the ground ball potential double play to Ian Desmond that wasn't made. And Ian Desmond hoping that Steven Strasburg could bail him out and pitch out of it. It wouldn't happen. 4 runs ended up scoring in the third. A couple this inning. It's 6-0.
Xavier Cedeno's second appearance of this series. He'll face Lucas Duda, who's 0 for 3 career against him. Still only 1 out. Runners at first and third. .82 with the breaking ball, missing away.
Cedeno fastball slider. Fastball averages 92 miles an hour.
And a good breaking ball there. Cedeno 9 games for the Nets. Came up a couple of times, didn't pitch at all. He was Mr. Option back and forth between here and Syracuse. And a 2-1 pitch here. Duda, just a little piece of it, counts even 2-2. Lucas Duda's been on base twice today with a walk, hit by a pitch, a run scored.
I remember when Lucas Duda was playing outfield for the Mets early in his career, but he's looked good at first base in this series. He's made some nice plays. Missed a pick today, wasn't easy, but he had a tough pick last night to save Wilmer Flores and Aaron.
Good looking slider. Didn't get the call, and the count goes full.
Tim Timmons probably thought this was low, but Pitch Track loves the low strike. Could have went either way.
Yeah, Lobatone framing it up as well as he could. Front door breaking ball to get the strikeout. So Cedeno kept going to that well, and he did well. 2 down.
Yeah, Cedeno's got the good slider working today. Watch him start this one right at Lucas Duda. Maybe even behind Duda. Comes back for a strike. Good late break. Lucas Duda with an emergency hat. Couldn't foul it off.
That'll bring in Michael Kadire. One career at bat against Xavier Cedeno, and it was a walk. I'd say this crew, Timmons, Everett, Welke, all 3 of them, they like the inside fastballs on these right-handed batters. We saw that right from Tim Welke's opening inning on Monday. Good place to put the ball, but you just better get it in there. And Cedeno with some quick snap to that one. 87, a ball and 2 strikes. And a check swing, no chance. Xavier Cedeno, great job against Duda and Kadire. Two really good big league hitters. Two big runs for the Mets. Bryce first. Long road ahead. And way down south in South Philly, it'll be Gio Gonzalez taking on the Phils. 7 p.m. on Mass and 2, Johnny Holiday, Ray Knight with Nats Extra at 6:30. Jerome Williams pitched for the Astros, the Rangers, and the Phils last year, and he pitched for the Nationals back in 2007. We'll get you going at 6:30 p.m. with Nats Extra tomorrow. First of 6 on the road trip. Nats box, not a whole lot. Desmond double, Ugla single, back-to-back. Escobar infield hit in the 3rd. And Michael A. Taylor clean single up the middle in the 5th. Matt Harvey has just thrown a first pitch strike to the 18th of his 22 batters. 18 of 22.
It's been very businesslike, too. Very matter-of-fact. Almost effortless at times. And for what I remember about Matt Harvey early in his career, he's a fiery guy that got out there and just got after it. But today he's been very under control. I thought, he might be a little overexcited early. Not the case. I think I was more excited to see him pitch than he was to get out there and pitch. I mean, he just checking in another day at the office. And some interesting facts about Tommy John surgery that I found out today before the game. Once you have that surgery, Carp, you're 100%. And the only reason you have it again is because of the way you pitch and whatever injured it the first time. I always thought the guys were just susceptible because they already had it once. Yeah. But Jacob deGrom had it, Jordan Zimmerman. So the 2 pitchers last night had Tommy John surgery. Obviously the 2 pitchers here today, Steven Strasburg and Matt Harvey, have had it. But once you're healed from that, you're healed. And the only way you get it again is if it's your mechanics or a flaw in your mechanics or whatever injured it the first time. Yeah. And when you talk to people about Matt Harvey's mechanics, they're perfect. They're sound. So the only thing you go to is that, there's just a lot of torque put on that arm, throwing 94 to 98 every 5th day. Because you look at him, he's under control. He's balanced. It's not max effort every pitch. But I thought that was interesting. It's something I didn't know. I just thought if you had it once, you were susceptible to have it in again just because you had the surgery.
Yeah, they say the ligament they put back in there is a whole lot stronger than the one they take out. I even had one guy, maybe he exaggerated a bit. He said it's like taking out a rubber band and putting in a piece of barbed wire. That's how much stronger it is. Now, the Mets did have a guy in their organization who has had it twice, Jeremy Hefner, who's trying to come back, pitching down in Florida. Devastating thing when a pitcher has to go through that for the second time. And there have been a handful of guys who've done that. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Bryce Harper. Harvey has struck him out twice and make it 3. So for Harvey, 8 Ks today. Harper, 3 of them.
Oh, he just went with a 96 express right here and up in the zone. Like I said, he's elevating with 2 strikes when he wants to, and that's what he's done to Bryce Harper today. Fastball up and away, I think, all 3 times.
Here's Ryan Zimmerman. Fly ball to left, fly ball to right. Harvey's handled the middle of the lineup. Harper, Zimmerman, Robinson, 3, 4, 5. 8 combined 0 for 7. Nothing Mets, bottom of the 6th. Nats have 1 hit since the 3rd inning. Zimmerman in the air to right. Curtis Granderson 2 down. The Nationals have been outscored in this series 10-3.
Well, if Matt Harvey retires Robinson right here, I mean, Terry Collins of the Mets couldn't have drawn up today any better. They said he was going to go about 90 pitches. He's at 87 right now.
There's Clint Robinson, who hit the ball a mile last time, but on a day like this, not a whole lot of help from the elements, and Lagares caught it at the base of the center field wall. Three o'clock in our nation's capital. Ball game underway at 1:07 today. A lot of rain in the area the last day and a half or so. We had a 1-hour delay last night, then played a 2-hour and 21-minute game with Jordan Zimmerman beating Jacob deGrom 2-1 with a Drew Storen save. And now today it's all Matt Harvey. The left-hander is Alex Torres, right-hander Buddy Carlisle, who got his first big league save here on Monday. 1-2 pitch. Harvey's at 91 pitches unofficially for the day, and he might be done. We'll see. 9 strikeouts, FP. As good as advertised?
How good is Matt Harvey? Wow. As advertised, impressive. All over the place. David Wright's first time up. 4-6-3 double play. There were shards of lumber all over. Then he brought a better bat. In the 5th inning for that base hit to Wright. 6th inning. David Wright with a nice day going. Made a nice play at third base. Big knock. And Matt Harvey was just outstanding.
91 pitches, 63 strikes. Reed Johnson will get some action in left field. Double switch. He'll be batting ninth. And the new pitcher, Tanner Roark. Storybook season for him. 1 out short of 199 innings last year. 115 games and 31 starts. He had 25 decisions in 31 starts.
Well, if you're a Nats fan bumming about the score, this should cheer you up. Your first glimpse of Tanner Roark in 2015.
And a big curveball drops in 74 on Daniel Murphy. Murphy 3 for 15 career against Tanner. He then fades that fastball away.
So a different role for him. And you know, as a starting pitcher, you come in, you have time to feel for your pitches. And you can see what's working, what's not working, what you want to go with on a given day. You can set up hitters. You know, come out of the bullpen, you got pound that strike zone, have a feel for all your pitches right out of the gate.
And the fastball up 3-1.
And the whole routine's different. How I'm getting loose, how many pitches I need once that phone rings. Never knowing if you're going in. So it's an adjustment period. We talked about it a lot with Ross Detweiler last year.
91 with downward and away movement. Dan Uggla takes care of that. So Uggla, the throw, and now the throw to another Dan, Mr. Coco.
Playing off what FP just said, I talked to Tanner the other day about what the major adjustments will be for him now that he's back working out of the bullpen. He made all starts last year, so it will be an adjustment. He said, I love my fastball, but I can't throw it as often anymore because hitters are looking to ambush me. He knows he needs to mix in more off-speed pitches. He doesn't have as much time to mess around with that fastball and establish it. He's going to have to mix things up and show his entire repertoire.
Dan sounded like he was reporting greenside at Augusta.
I thought he was in Augusta there for a second.
Yes, somebody was in the middle of a putt.
How's Tiger doing, Dan? Juan Lagares 0 for 3. And there's that fastball. It's 92, and guys think they're all over it. And all of a sudden, it's got another gear before it gets there.
But it just seemed like all last year, whoever was hitting against him was guessing wrong. He just set up hitters as good as anybody I've ever seen.
Another fastball, Lagares late.
And that's got a good one with Lagares. They locked him up for 4 seasons. $23 million contract with a $9.5 million fifth-year option. So potentially be in New York through the 2020 season. Gold Glove center fielder, hit .281 last year. Really worked on pulling the ball this spring. If you remember last year, everything was kind of the other way. Kevin Long has him trying to look for that ball out in front and add a little more pop to his swing. Only 4 home runs last year.
Yeah, they want to see 150 games out of him. In 116 last year, he hit .281, 24 doubles, 3 triples, stole 13 bases. He did some leading off, but they're leaving that to Granderson right now, the veteran guy who, as we have noted several times in the series, has really been working the national staff and grinding out ABs. 2 more walks today. And look, also line one hard right through the box. His first hit today. He's 2 for 12 to start the season. Darno and Flores the next 2.
Pretty good pitch down and in. He just pulled his hands inside that ball, got the barrel to it, and right back at Tanner Roark. Look out.
Travis d'Arnaud facing Roark for the first time. 2 for 3 with a couple of RBIs against Steven Strasburg today. Strasburg ended up with 95 pitches, 68 strikes. deserved better back in that third inning. Could have been out of that frame with no runs scored. And then the Mets got to him for a couple of line drives in the sixth. Hard hit left side. Escobar buried the throw, and Dan Uggla made a really nice adjustment. So a 5-4-3 gets Roark and the Nats to the seventh inning stretch. Desmond, Uggla, and Lobaton.
Times when he was talking to the media about Matt Harvey, and we saw it on full display here today. His first start in 593 days, and it looked like he hadn't missed a beat. I mean, just strike after strike, pounding the zone with all of his pitches, elevating with 2 strikes, the late hop that you're used to on his fastball, but he was as advertised today. Boy, did he compete.
Game summary. Michael Taylor, a hit in each of the season's first 3 games. Travis d'Arnaud, another big day for him. He's off to a 5-for-9 start with 4 RBIs. And then Matt Harvey, 91 pitches, 63 strikes. First pitch strikes to 20 of 24 batters. And 7 hitters were 0-2 against him. Left-hander, Alex Torres. He had a 180 in spring training. Came from the Padres to the Mets. He was traded for a right-handed pitcher, and a player to be named later. And he was 2-1 in 70 games with the Padres last year. The left-hander, Alex Torres.
Yeah, fastball, slider, occasional curveball, not very often, and a changeup to go with it. Fastball average is 92.
Ian Desmond is 0-for-3 against him. On the inside edge.
I could be wrong, but wasn't Alex Torres the first guy to wear that helmet hat last year with the Padres?
Sounds familiar.
And it looks like he has something underneath his hat right now. I don't know if it's the same one, but I know the one last year was oversized. And baseball players worried about fashion. I could never see that one catching on.
June 21st of last year.
Kevin Franzen had one in batting practice last year, and I couldn't stop laughing at him. I know it's protected.
Part of that's Kevin.
I understand all that, but
yeah, he was the first Major League pitcher to wear the ISO Blocks protective cap on June 21st of last year. That product had been approved in January.
It looked like those old golf carts they used to bring in the relievers with. That's how big it was.
Yeah. And it kind of reminded me of somebody I bought lemonade from at the mall. But I'm sure they'll work on it. It may be necessary because over the last couple of years, Aroldis Chapman, Alex Cobb, and a frightening moment that we saw, FP, when Ian Desmond on a line drive hit Juan Nicasio a few years ago. And I mean, we're sitting in the booth stunned, right, wondering if we're watching a young man with a life-threatening injury laying on the mound. So baseball addressing that issue, but it takes time to get these things right. Here's Dan Uggla. A base hit and a bouncing ball to David Wright. 1 for 2 today, and on the season off to a 2-for-9 start. Long way to go. The Nats have 9 outs with which to operate here, but those 2 runs in the 6th really hurt.
Torres having trouble throwing strikes, and that's the last thing Terry Collins wants out of a pitcher with a 6-0 lead.
And here comes David Wright. That's what a captain does.
If you're wondering what a guy says in a situation like that, it's like, hey, 6-run lead, make him swing the bat, we'll make the play behind you. It's nothing about mechanics. It's nothing about, you know, a chewing out job. It's just like, hey, right, we got you. Make him swing it. I promise we'll make the plays behind you.
Well, Jerry Blevins, former Nat. Buddy Carlisle's been ready. Switch hitting Jose Lobaton on deck. That's in there.
I like the sell job right there by Dan Uggla on the 3-0 count. Did you see that? Kind of did like a little half step trying to draw the walk.
Base runners needed. A lot of them. And the count goes full. And Uggla staying alive. And Dan Uggla having a good at bat here.
Now, he's looked good early. That was a nifty little double play. He just turned on a tough feed from Yunel Escobar. And regardless of what happens in this at bat, he's been balanced throughout his swing. He's not lunging at the ball anymore. And I think the most important thing is he looks like he's seeing the baseball. And we talked about his vision problems the last couple of years after getting hit in the head. Could be an interesting story to watch.
He's going to get called out on a pitch that appeared up in the zone. First out for the Mets here in the 7th.
I think he went 3-2 change up there at 84 miles an hour and kind of locked Dan Uggla up, took it. Top of the strike zone.
Uggla did not dispute the call. And Jose Lobaton now with Reed Johnson on deck. Jose today, a called third strike and a ground ball to the right side. He'll bat right-handed for the first time. Took a big-time rip on 2-0. And at times, Alex Torres has been all over the place here. 27-year-old left-hander from Valencia, Venezuela. 2 years ago with Tampa Bay for 39 games. And then 70 with the Padres last year, 54 innings, 51 strikeouts. Well, he almost walked Dan Uggla. He did walk Jose Lobaton. And in comes Reed Johnson. Walk, strikeout, walk here in the bottom of the seventh.
And Terry Collins has seen enough.
Reed Johnson, one of the toughest guys around. Good to have him on the ball club as he joins the Nats at the very end of spring training. 38 years of age. Miami last year. You'll get a chance to see him in a moment as the Mets will go a little deeper into their bullpen. Again, long way to go in this ball game. 2 on, 1 out, bottom of the seventh, and in for the Mets will be Buddy Carlisle.
Runners on first and second, 1 out for Reed Johnson, the pinch hitter. Our Washington, D.C. Lexus dealers are donating $250 to the Children's National Health System for every home run a Nationals player hits this season. So keep them coming. Be an instant game if Reed Johnson gets a hole-in-one. Lexus, the pursuit of perfection.
Buddy Carlisle, 37 years of age, and 3 days ago earned his first major league save. We got Zimmerman and Ramos in the ninth inning with ground balls in a 3-1 game. After Jerry Blevins had retired Bryce Harper on a fly ball. So here's Reed Johnson, career batting average of .280 in 12 years. With Toronto, the Cubs twice. Dodgers, Braves, Marlins. Originally drafted by Toronto back in '99. Out of Temecula, California, and Cal State Fullerton. In the air to right, it'll back up Curtis Granderson. Desmond tagging at second, moving to third on the second out.
You figure Reed Johnson to be this year's version of Scott Hairston. Kind of a guy that plays against lefties, a career .310 hitter against left-handers. Hard-nosed guy, can swing it, plays hard. Nats fans are going to like him.
There's Michael Taylor. Base it up the middle last time up after Harvey had struck him out twice. Trying to make it a 6-3 game.
So I was looking at Fangraphs, and obviously Buddy Carlisle with just one appearance this year, but he throws the fastball 100% of the time.
In safe situations. This guy's been around a long, long time. First big league season, San Diego back in '99. Couple of cups of coffee with them. Was in Japan with the Hanshin Tigers in '01 and '02. Back with Nippon, the Ham Fighters, back in 2010. So all over the world pitching. Nebraska guy out of Bellevue East, former player of the year in Nebraska, and he could swing the bat as well. All-state in basketball, just a good athlete and a guy fighting at the age of 37 to keep his big league job.
It's making me nervous with all his mannerisms. Tapping the ball in his glove, touching his helmet or his hat. Last guy had a helmet.
He grooved a fastball, and Taylor late for it. The count's 2-2. It's the bottom of the seventh. The Nationals still have only one hit since the third inning, only 4 on the day. 2 walks in this frame. And Taylor waging a good battle here.
Taylor getting some good rips, and Buddy Carlisle got away with one right there. That was belt tie right down the middle. Pretty good hack right here. 2-strike mode, short. It was supposed to be away, and it was right down the middle. You see the reaction by Carlisle. He knew it. Michael Taylor wants that one back.
Carlisle for the first base side of that pitching rubber, misses away.
Buddy's got a lot of stuff going on out there. Lots of things.
Runner from first base on the move. Taylor goes to deep left center. That ball is at the bottom of the wall. Desmond has scored. Lobaton coming around. And Michael Taylor, with his second consecutive hit, makes it a 6-2 game. Hit that ball about 390 to left center.
Well, it's all he saw is fastballs from Buddy Carlisle. Saw one slider for a ball, so you just disregard that as a hitter. And the more fastballs you see, you start to catch up, and he finally gets another one right down the middle, and he was just missing the ones before. But look at the extension. I love how he chokes up on the bat. And I thought this was a 6-3 ball game when he hit this. Cold day, ball not carried in June. That's a 3-run homer. Nice at bat by Michael Taylor once again, and all of a sudden you got a 4-run ball game.
Yeah, he's 4 for 12 to start this season. Here's Escobar, who's walked and singled today. Facing Buddy Carlisle for the first time.
Well, you never know if Yunel Escobar can get on. Guy on deck has a chance to make it even more interesting. But that would probably be a Blevins-Harper matchup.
I think Bryce might like that better than the Harvey matchup turned out.
Well, we'll see him again. That's just round 1.
Yeah. Escobar reaches out, hits it up the middle. Daniel Murphy scoops it. And the Nats will get a couple on one hit. Desmond and Lobaton walked. Taylor plated both of them. It's now 6-2. Couple of RBIs, hit his first home run against Carlos Torres at Citi Field in August last year for the Nats. So a 6-2 ball game, 6 outs to go. Far from over this game, but both of these bullpens have been pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, the bullpens are solid, but the starting pitching today for the Mets was fantastic. And you have to be impressed with what you've seen from the New York Mets in the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah.
You know, they had trouble with the Nationals last year. They came out with a purpose here in these games. And you know, we've talked about how banged up the Nats are. You remember last year we used to say keep the line moving, and then that's how they scored a lot of runs. But anytime you're missing your 1, 2, 3 hitters, I don't care what ball club you are, it's going to make a difference. You know, everybody's a major leaguer, and bench guys are getting a chance to play, and you know, you need them to perform until everybody's healthy. But that's just not any 1, 2, 3 hitters. Those are some of the best in baseball.
Tanner Roark, second inning of work. He's going to swoop in some situations like this when it's not 6-0. Pitch a couple of innings and get himself a win. Kirk Nieuwenhuis, the only left-hander the Mets have off their bench. He's set to pinch hit here in the 8th for Buddy Carlisle. Wilmer Flores jammed and he fouls one. Counts 2-2.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices.
Flores 2 for 5 career against Tanner Roark. It's one of those situations, I think we heard a little sound like the hitter thought the ball was going to hit him. You've mentioned before that guys have screamed before the ball actually got there.
Hear it all the time. And it doesn't hit you.
Ad got him. Wilmer Flores 1 for 3 today. 2 for 10 to start the season. And Roark gives up a pop fly to left. Desmond out. Reed Johnson, we could hear him from our microphone back behind the backstop, making the call on that one for the first out in the 8th. And it'll be Nieuwenhuis against Roark. Kirk Nieuwenhuis has had a pinch hitting appearance in every game of this series. Struck out Monday in the 7th inning against Max Scherzer. Walked in the 7th inning last night against Craig Stammen, who had a really good inning. Took care of that with a ground ball. And he faces Tanner Roark. He's 1 for 3 career against him. Pretty good run on that fastball. By the way, the pitching matchups for the rest of the Philadelphia series: Doug Fister against Cole Hamels on Saturday, and then of course Max Scherzer back on Sunday.
Yeah, you know, nothing kills Matt Williams more than when his team doesn't play Trump type defense. You remember when he first got the job here last year, he said that was going to be something he stressed more than anything.
Good rhythm on that play. Zimmerman to Roark. And FP, he talked about it in spring training too.
And he talked about
games that didn't mean anything. He wasn't happy.
When you watch him too in spring training, when they're in the back fields and they're going over bunt Ds and first and third defenses and they're taking infield, that's when he's at his most intense. And even during infield before batting practice the last couple of days, that's when he really locks in. I mean, he's always intense. There's never a question about that. But when he's at his highest is when his team is taking infield. I mean, he's just watching everybody, just, you know, hawking everybody, making sure their technique is right, their throws are right. So he can deal with losses. I mean, it's something he had to learn early in the season last year, is to enjoy the wins a little bit more instead of, you know, crushing himself on the defeats. But what he really can't stand and what really gets him, and you know, he's probably going to be frustrated after the game today if they can't pull this out, is when his team isn't playing catch. Yeah, that's number one on his list, above and beyond anything else, is his team playing catch.
Outside from Tanner Roark to Curtis Granderson, who's 3 for 10 in the career matchup. Granderson, a good day. 2 walks, a base hit, a run scored. He's been a consummate leadoff guy for the Mets here. In contrast to the first series of the season last year, when the Nats dropped a 3-game offer on him up at Citi Field. He was with a new ball club, feeling some pressure. Nats pitching didn't make that any easier. 3-2. Strikeouts. And a couple of those hits were against Tanner Roark. Pair of doubles, 1 for an RBI. And Uggla's going to keep him from getting a base hit right there. 2 good innings for Tanner Roark to keep the Mets at bay. Bryce Harper to lead off the 8th and a little deeper into the Mets bullpen. Brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. Proudly serving the armed forces and their families for over 80 years. Navy Federal Credit Union. And by DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball free and win real money.
Cherry blossoms in full bloom here in D.C. Bryce likes the cherry blossoms.
I don't know. He's looking at him like he wants to blast about 4 of them into the bullpen. And we're going to the bottom of the 8th inning with Carlos Torres appearing for the Mets for the 2nd time in this series. He came into the 7th inning on Monday, got Desmond, Uggla, and Tyler Moore on ground balls. His first assignment here will be Bryce Harper, who's 2 for 9 career against him with a home run.
I see a lot of cut fastballs from Carlos Torres.
Harper. Strikeouts number 2, 6, and 8 against Matt Harvey, who fanned 9 today. And Bryce, prior to today, was off to a 4 for 7 start with a base on balls in that home run on Monday. He gets one to right. Didn't get it to leave the park, though, and Granderson is a step onto the track to grab it.
That's the difference of the cutter and a straight fastball. That cutter just cut right off the sweet spot of Bryce Harper's bat. We'll show you the sequence. First pitch, cutter 93, fouls it off. You see the late move, it kind of going toward Bryce. This one just a 4-seam fastball up. But that one cut right from the sweet spot, kind of onto the label, and that was the difference between a long out and a home run. That late movement off the Torres cutter.
Pitcher spot due up next. Tyler Moore for Tanner Roark. Tanner had a good 2 innings, no runs on a hit, got that double play ball. 33 pitches, 21 strikes. So Tanner Roark getting some work that he was needing. Ryan Zimmerman 0 for 3 today. He is 3 for 7 career against Torres with a home run. Aaron Barrett for the 9th. And Zimmerman goes the other way, out of play. High gas, and Ryan Zimmerman is 0 for 4.
In case you haven't heard, the All-Star game is in D.C. in 18. You get first priority for tickets for that game, becoming a 2015 full season plan holder. For details, visit nationals.com/DC in 18. Yeah, right here at Nats Park.
Here's Tyler Moore. Tyler starting the first 2 games of the season and going 0 for 5 with a walk. Up the middle, Murphy plants and fires, and what a good play by Daniel Murphy. Not always known for defense, but he went way into center field to take a hit away right there.
Yeah, jump, throw something on it. He was already playing up the middle, but on the shortstop side, Daniel Murphy steals a hit from Tyler Moore. What a play. Up the middle, number 1. Number 2, he got a good jump. He was ready for the baseball. Number 3, the jump turn and a long throw right on the money to get Tyler Moore. Wait till you see the Exmo shot at the end. It's pretty cool unless you're Tyler Moore. Right here, plants, picks up his target. In the air, throws right on the money and does a little like moonwalk kind of backpedal after he gets the ball in the air. Like I said, cool unless you're Tyler Moore. Nice play.
There's another guy in New York who used to make that play pretty well. Some shortstop.
Didi Gregorius?
No. Not Ray Ordonez.
He made
Ray Ordonez was really a great shortstop.
He was smooth.
Yes, he was. He ruined an opening day of a ball club I was with one time with a throw from his knees to home on a relay. Bad throw from the outfield and still threw the guy out. That guy was something else at shortstop.
You're talking about Kevin Elster.
No.
No?
No.
I don't know.
Some players, some plays will never leave your mind.
Jose Reyes?
That was an opening day. No, this is before Jose Reyes. Circa 96. Daniel Murphy, well done. David Wright, Lucas Duda, Michael Kadire, and Aaron Barrett, who pitched in the 9th inning here on Monday, got taken out. He gave a 1-out hit to Darno and a 2-out walk to John Mayberry Jr. And then Matt Thornton came in and got Curtis Granderson.
The worst part about Jeter retiring last year was having to watch the flip play against the A's that cost me a ring all season long. And you know, I'm still not over that.
Yeah, the errant relay and the backhand flip. Right in there. Aaron Barrett gets David Wright looking. Next up, Lucas Duda. Well, Aaron Barrett and Blake Trinan live arms toward the back of that bullpen. You figure both of them are going to get plenty of eighth inning work this year when the Nats are ahead to set things up for Drew Storen. And FP, there might be a time or two or more when those young men will be called upon to close some ball games.
I'll tell you what, Blake Trinan was more than impressive last night. It's what he did.
That is some arm on him. Shiftage against Lucas Duda, who has been hit by a pitch, scored. He's 0 for 2, and in the series 3 for 10. A little bit high with the slider. 2-0. Jonathan Neese and Eric Stoltz tomorrow night for them in Atlanta. They'll see Julio Teheran, Alex Wood in that series with Dylan G and Bartolo Colon. The Braves are 3-0 after sweeping the Marlins. Cincinnati and Colorado, the other undefeated teams in the league. The Reds are 2-2 at home with the Pirates right now in the 7th. And the Rockies are off today. They're 3-0. Lucas Duda rams one toward the scoreboard, but the ball's just not traveling today, and he just didn't get the sweet spot on it. Michael A. Taylor running it down 2 outs. Looked good off the bat. 5-7 tonight with our panel of experts on the Mid-Atlantic Sports Report. I'll be looking ahead to the Philadelphia series and Geo start tomorrow night. News from around baseball. We do it every day. The Mid-Atlantic Sports Report. Phil Wood, Rob Long, Dave Johnson, all those guys up there.
They might talk about Matt Harvey today, I'm calling. Maybe.
Yeah, they may decide to look back in time slightly. Tom Davis running the show with those guys up there. Mel Antonin, one of our great experts. Here's Michael Kadire, 2 for 4. And the 0-2 to Kadire. Nice 0-2 purpose pitch up and in. The Nats in the bottom of the 9th, and it looks like they'll be facing Jeuris Familia. We'll have Desmond Ugla and Lobaton due up. Aaron Barrett with a dominant 9th inning. 2 Ks are on the fly ball. The Nats need a big 9th inning before they head on to Philadelphia.
lead over the Nationals. Johnny Holiday along with Ray Knight. We hope you'll stick around with us for our Nats Extra postgame coming up in just a couple of minutes. That big third inning where they scored 4 runs, only one of those earned against Steven Strasburg did him in today.
Yeah, Johnny, really only one ball hit hard. The line drive over second base by Kadire was a rocket, but the error really cost us. And I think Steven has a tendency when there's an error made, something bad happens right after that, and he hit the next hitter, Duda, and then that set up that situation with the bases loaded. All in all, he struggled a little bit today. Cold weather and all that stuff, but Matt Harvey just had his great stuff right out of the get-go, throwing 96, 97 miles an hour and really throttling these bats down.
Dr. James Andrews smiling wherever he is, saying, hey, we did it again. Congratulations to Matt Harvey.
He needs to send Tommy John a check. Dr. Andrews does, for all the business he's gotten from that surgery.
Hey, we can also talk about our bullpen today. They once again came in, did a real nice job with Cedeno and Roark, and now Aaron Barrett.
Yeah, we're going to have a good bullpen. There's no doubt there's going to be a lot of flexibility out there, flip-flopping guys around, and it'll settle in. Early part of the year, Johnny, in this bad weather, inclement weather, cold weather, your defense is going to suffer. It always does in April because of cold weather and because of rainy weather, because of slick balls, because the infield's not really settled in yet. The sod's not exactly the way you want it to be. So you're going to see some funny-looking plays early in the year.
Let's go to the bottom of the ninth now with Bob and FP upstairs, guys.
All right, thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Ray. We'll look forward to Nats Extra. Juris Familia. And for the second time today, Ian Desmond serves one down the right field line for extra bases. So coming alive with the bat. And when Ian starts using the ballpark over there, we know good things are ahead. That's his first career hit in 7 at-bats against Juris Familia. And by the way, that's this year's pronunciation of his first name.
Oh, thanks.
Juris.
Well, it all started with a leadoff double. So we'll see. Ian Desmond with another nice swing. So a good day for him offensively, 2 for 3 with a walk.
Dan Uggla next. John Mayberry takes over in left field for Kadire. Dan Uggla 1 for 3 today. And he gashes one. What a backhand stop by David Wright. His defense has been outstanding today. He's cost the Nats a couple of knocks.
Say what, Dan Uggla's looked good at the plate.
Yes.
And he could have had a couple of doubles today if it not for David Wright's glove. That time Wright sticks the landing, gets up and makes a nice throw. You remember Uggla's first at bat, David Wright went to the line, knocked it down, and Uggla beat it out, saved a run. That time he stole a hit. Nice play.
Yeah, beautifully done by David Wright. Won a Gold Glove back in 07 and 08. Silver Slugger those 2 years as well. Here's Jose Lobaton 0 for 2 with a walk, and Reed Johnson on deck.
That's coming up hacking.
Yeah. Well, it's right now. The scouting report on the Mets bullpen is that this guy, Familia, has the best arm of all of them. Bobby Parnell's on his way back, still not at the big league level.
Well, I like
Henry Mejia disabled on Monday.
Excuse me, Carp. I like the game plan because he's got a nasty slider. You don't want to get to 2 strikes. If he's going to throw you first pitch 97, get on it.
Exactly. And he runs 96 to the outside edge. Mets trying to win a series before they head to Atlanta. Nats trying to make a big comeback here before Philadelphia up the road. Big gap in right center. 1-2 with 1 out. Lobaton pulls it about 3 feet foul of the bag. Tone can't reach 96 upstairs. 2 down.
He'll challenge fastball, climb the ladder. It seems like that's what the Mets have been doing all day with 2 strikes, elevating the fastball.
It's up to Reed Johnson, who's 1 for 2 career against Familia. Came in on a double switch in the 7th inning, flew to right his first time up. Johnson to right center. Ball's on the ground. Desmond coming in to score. And it's a 6-3 game on a great opposite field stroke by Reed Johnson.
Off the bench, hit the ball hard twice. Hit it hard to right field his first time up. Ball not carrying here today. This one he gets on top of a little more. Drives it to right center to make this a 3-run game.
Oh, 1 more base runner needed to get that tying run in the box.
It's a nice piece of hitting. I'll tell you what, Matt Williams is looking for offense right now. You come off the bench and have some at-bats like that, you may find yourself in the starting lineup. You never know. Now Michael Taylor's job is to act like a leadoff hitter with nobody on leading off an inning. He's got to try to get the tying run to the plate any way he can.
Familia struck out Taylor on a ball in the dirt Monday. There's another one blocked by Darno. Mets bullpen has to get busy again with Cherry Blevins. If it got to Bryce Harper and Blevins came in, things would be very interesting. Taylor started, stopped, 2-0.
See, this is where you get a 2-0 count. If you're thinking right, this is an automatic take. And just because you want to try to get the time run to the plate, it's not what you necessarily have to do. But as a leadoff hitter mentality right here, you're thinking about getting on.
And Taylor out to center. That should do it for the series. Lagares has it. And the Mets take 2 out of 3 in the Nationals ballpark after Washington dominated them last year. Harvey the win, Strasburg the loss. So it's 6-10-1 Mets, 3-7-1 Nats. Tomorrow night, 6:30, Johnny and Ray will join you with Nats Extra. And then we'll see Gio Gonzalez against former Nat Jerome Williams up at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. This has been a presentation of Masson. Till then, so long for just a while.